Sibiya bypassed the instructions of the National Commissioner on the justification that he was implementing the minister's directive?
No, the decision to sign that letter circumvented the clear instruction of a National Commissioner.
Before you go to the next section, just out of interest, General, when did Legal Services first become aware of the letter of 31 December 2024?
Commissioner, I can only speak for myself, and it wasn't in January. I heard rumors that a letter was leaked, but as a good lawyer, I don't pay any attention to rumors. I want to see hard evidence. So as far as I recall, I wasn't aware of that letter in January. For the rest of my colleagues, I cannot testify to their knowledge.
And as far as you know, was there ever an internal discussion about the lawfulness or otherwise of that instruction?
Not
I know
that
there
I
was
was
nothing formal because General Masemula said
Yes.
he did not obtain a legal opinion.
Not
But
that
just
I
out
was
of
part of.
interest, are you aware if there was ever any internal discussion from
Not
the
that I
lawyers?
was part
Because-
of.
Yeah.
Yes, not that I was part of, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. Then your next section is headed General Observations on Legal Aspects Raised. If I can ask you to then take it from paragraph 112 and following.
Chair, the purpose of this is, you know, I've been here for a couple of days and I've also made notes on some aspects that were raised by yourself and by the commissioners on legal aspects. And I appreciate, and I believe you will also appreciate, that the two previous witnesses were not people with any legal background. And therefore, I believe it may be to the benefit of a commission to at least clarify some aspects in as far as I can to assist the commission. In furtherance of some of the issues raised by the commission, I wish to point out certain aspects to assist the commission. Firstly, the letter of the minister dated 31 December 2024 also directed that the filling of vacant posts in the Division Crime Intelligence, both at provincial and national level, should be halted immediately. No explanation was provided for that direction by the minister.
Perhaps if I could just, for record purposes, that's VR1 in Van Rooyen 2 at page 102, paragraph 1.
That is correct.
Okay, yes. Yes, if you can proceed.
Section 27 of the SAPS Act provides that the filling of any post in the service, whether by appointment, promotion or transfer, should be done in accordance with this Act, which also includes the SAPS employment regulations. Section 28 furthermore provides that the National Commissioner may appoint a person to a post in the fixed establishment of a service. Regulation 27 of the SAPS employment regulations provides that the National Commissioner must inter alia, before filling any vacancy, confirm that he or she requires the post to meet the objectives of a service and ensure that that sufficient budgetary funds are available for the filling of a post. The involvement of a minister in respect of the filling of posts are limited to senior management services members, that is, employees appointed to a post level grade on 13, in other words, brigadier and above. Insofar as the National Commissioner is, in terms of Regulation 27, required to report to the Minister on this information and to obtain any directions that the Minister may issue. There is, however, no provision in the SAPS Act or employment regulations that authorizes the Minister to blanketly halt the filling of posts in a particular division of a service or even in the service as a whole. It is my considered view that the Minister's conduct constituted executive overreach.
Right. After that conclusion on that paragraph 1 of the Minister's letter, you proceed with your second point in paragraph 116. If I can ask you to proceed from there.
During the testimony of a National Commissioner, an issue was raised on the possibility of approaching court to resolve the impasse with the Minister. Assuming that this evidence is accepted, it should be noted that there is a principle that the state does not litigate against itself. In other words, the executive and head of department should not resolve differences or disputes in court. And the reason for this is the state attorney is responsible for litigation on behalf of the state. So the state attorney will act for both the executive and the head of department, which brings a conflict of interest. It is in part, this is also in part necessitated.
That can be a very serious stumbling block, because I've seen in such instances the state attorney using private attorneys, or
Yes.
the client itself, whether it's a client department, going to private attorneys itself. So that's not really an
In view of the
impediment.
seriousness of the dispute, but in view of the seriousness of the consequences of litigation.
Yeah, I'm just mentioning it
Yes.
because, for example, the example you give would be exceptional circumstances, I would have thought. Yeah.
General, isn't the issue this, that the commissioner could have obtained legal advice, and if that advice said the instruction is unlawful, then he could have said to the minister, Minister, we will not implement your instruction because it is unlawful.
That is correct, Commissioner. He could have sought legal advice, not going to court. But the issue I'm addressing is specifically, I remember there was a question on the possibility of litigation. But I agree with your approach. Legal advice should have been sought to get clarity on the legal position.
Yes, and perhaps if I could just come in there, the National Commissioner, when dealing with that issue, he gave his reasons why, for him, taking on his own minister was not an option. And I think the Commission will have regard to his evidence, because he did deal with that issue. And if I can ask you perhaps to deal with 117, where you start with Chapter 3 of the Constitution.
Chapter 3 of the Constitution.
Sorry, General,
Sorry,
before
apologies, Commissioner.
yeah, before you do that, and do pardon me for taking you back to paragraph 115, your conclusion that the minister could not blanketly halt the filling of posts. This is something that I guess one should have explored with the National Commissioner, but now that you speak to it, let me check this. We didn't get to see the advert for these crime intelligence positions, so we don't know whether they were advertising for positions where the minister is required to be consulted. I think he said in consultation, and then there's a level where it's the National Commissioner's decision. Are you able to say what positions those were?
I have no knowledge of that, Commissioner. However, what is concerning is there's no differentiation or qualification of a filling of post. So I would assume that it cuts across different levels. It didn't even say only the filling of senior managers. So there should be posts available on different levels, including junior levels, medium managers, and senior levels.
And to your knowledge, do ministers or Minister of Police become interested in the advert? The evidence that we had was the minister picked up something about the advert, said it initially advertised for a diploma or a degree, and then he had views about it should be changed. Is that something that ministers become involved with?
Not in my experience, Commissioner. In fact, it's more of a pro forma advertisement that we have when posts, for example, becomes available or are to be filled in legal services. There's almost a pro forma requirement of certain requirements pertaining especially to qualifications. And you would expect, for example, a media manager to have a certain number of years experience and a certain qualification. So it is not something that the minister would get involved in or play any role in. On that regard, if I can also clarify, earlier this morning we discussed the issue of Regulation 47 of the employment regulations that specifically deals with the involvement of a minister in the appointment of senior selected SMS posts. And as I indicated, it relates to generals posts, in other words, major generals and lieutenant generals, excluding provincial commissioners, but including divisional commissioners and deputy national commissioners. And the difficulty with that is that the selection panel and the actual appointment must be done in consultation with the minister. So that also is problematic because it means that the minister's agreement in the appointment of any general, excluding provincial commissioners, are sought. And that is also a matter for consideration, the implications of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Bala. Earlier on, I referred to the National Commissioner's evidence regarding Lieutenant General Sibiya's 3 areas of contentions. If you recall, I touched on that issue where there was an expression of certain of the dockets in crime intelligence being moved into portfolio, you remember? Then I also said National Commissioner testified that even when the minister took office, he expressed the 3 identical points that General Sibiya had identified earlier, you recall? And I had left this issue, didn't deal with it as the second issue that relates to crime intelligence, where the minister directs a halt. But I think let's leave that, and perhaps the minister will explain
Yes. Yes.
his interest in crime intelligence. If I can then ask you to proceed to 116. Secondly, sorry, is that where we were? Sorry, no, sorry, I apologize.
Yes.
We had dealt with 116. You were going to 117, chapter 3. Yes.
Mr. Madau, I was in part busy with 116.
Okay.
And the point I still want to make there is pertaining to the issue of litigation between the executive authority and the head of department, and also to indicate that another factor to consideration in an attempt to avoid litigation is that this is in part necessitated by the fact that public funds will be utilized to litigate, and an accounting officer is required in accordance with Section 39 of the PFMA to ensure that expenditure of his department is in accordance with the vote of the department and the main divisions within the vote, and that effective and appropriate steps are to be taken to prevent unauthorized expenditure. And you can never budget for litigation. In the police, we are well aware of that, especially in view of a contingency liability of civil claims. So it's not something that you can budget for.
Okay. All right, I think your point is taken. Paragraph 117.
Chapter 3 of the Constitution furthermore emphasizes the need for cooperative government and the need for all